Hi, everybody, and welcome to this edition of the WestViews, where today is all sports. Our first guest today is head coach Mark Zofka of Tri-C Baseball. Thanks for joining us today. Why don't you talk about last season a little bit?
Yeah, coming into the fall last year, we were very optimistic looking into the season. We had a very strong fall, and then all of a sudden, within about a period of about a week, we lost our 1 through 6 batters. All the different types of injuries that were all season-ending injuries. So that was a tough blow to us, and then we lost some depth because of that. So we did have a tough season going into the spring last year, and this year coming into, we're looking to hopefully improve upon that.
Did you notice some improvements?
Oh, big time. We end up having a lot of transfers coming from some Division I schools. We end up getting Ryan Boris, who transferred in from Ohio University. He's a local product from Strongsville High School. He already signed a letter of intent to go to attend Cleveland State at the end of 2011, so next year. We got Pat Shelleck out of Shaker High School, out of University Heights High School, who played at Cleveland State. Okay. We ended up having Corey Johnston out of Highland High School and a couple other boys who, Chad O'Pollock out of University of Dayton, who transferred in this year. So the fall was very solid for us. We ended up only having one loss during the course of the fall. We beat some four-year schools, which we haven't done in the past. So we're looking forward to having a good year.
Awesome. Do you have a lot of returning guys from?
Actually, we don't. Our returners are mainly in the pitching staff. We have about 3 guys coming back from pitching staff. We do have the 2 Manko cousins, actually, Ricky Manko and Anthony Manko, who help solidify. Actually, Anthony comes back. He's a third-year player. He ended up getting a red shirt last year for us. Okay. And we are looking to solidify our middle infield, and he should help us do that.
What are the major strengths of this team this year?
I would say this year, there's some changes this year that are going to really affect it, and it's going to be tough to tell how it's going to be coming, especially offensively. I'll get to those in a little bit. Okay. But I think our biggest strength is going to be our starting pitching. Awesome. With the addition of Shelleck and Boris, Alex Walk out of Cuyahoga Falls, who went to Notre Dame College, he transferred in. Corey Johnson, who I mentioned before. Right there, we have 4 solid starters, in addition to Pat Bilski and Matt Schultz, who are back from last year, who were basically our 3 and 4 last year. So our starting pitching this year should be very solid. Defensively, we solidify ourselves with Jake Kusick behind the dish. He's a transfer from JUCO College in Alabama. He also was offered a scholarship by Youngstown State already. So he'll solidify us behind the plate, and then our middle infield is really solid. So we're looking forward to that. The unknown is going to be offense because the NCAA, which even though we're NJCAA, we filed NCAA rules, and they instilled a new bat rule, and it's going to be kind of like hitting with woods this year. So that's going to be kind of the question mark, and you're going to have to be able to run. You're going to have to play a little bit of small ball, and we'll see how the players adjust to that because they haven't done that with the old style aluminums.
All right. So with the new bat rule, are you saying do you have to play with like wooden bats or aluminum? Or?
Well, what it is that the bats were too lively in the past, and there was a threat of injuries. So these bats are more true to like a wood bat. So it's a little harder to hit the ball. You don't get your little cheap doubles and the little windblown home runs and stuff like that now. So it's going to help our pitching, which we have solid pitching, so that's going to even make our pitching stronger. Okay. But it's not going to be a situation where you're going to have to rely on big innings and stuff like that. You're going to have to play some small ball, move runners over, steal bases, do hit and runs, do some bunting games. So it's going to be more of a true. It's going to almost be like a national. It's going to be like more major league type situation, right? Where you got to use a little more strategy versus just trying to go up there and hope for a 4 or 5 run big inning.
All right. So obviously you're in the off season right now, and could you talk about like what you and your team are doing to prepare for the next, spring ball?
Yeah, we ended our fall ball on November 15th, and since then we've been inside. And all we've basically been doing indoors has just been conditioning. We've been doing 3 days a week. We do a speed, strength, and footwork conditioning program that we've been working on, and we've been getting a great turnout with the guys. We have about 30 guys are attending each of the sessions, and it's a little difficult with work and stuff, especially around this time with classes. But they've been really good with that. They've been working hard. We could tell that they're getting stronger, which is good because especially with the new bats, it's not like I said, it's going to be a big difference. They're just a little bit different to hit with, but they've been working hard, and it's been a real success so far.
Awesome. There's a rumor going around that Tri-C might be making their field into turf. Is there any concerns about that? I know some players are we like grass better or turf's more susceptible to injuries and whatnot.
Well, the turf that we're talking about putting in is a field turf, and it's the one that's based with has the rubber core base. So it's really the injury factor based upon what you hear about is not any. It's like playing on grass. The benefit for us, especially playing up here in the north, is that a day like today, I mean, as cold as it was, we could be out there. And we talked about that the other day. We said, last week we could have been out there practicing, whereas, with the dirt fields, we just can't. It's going to help us out with recruiting big time because it's going to give us an advantage over some of our schools as far as getting some players in here, because now we're going to give ourselves about 3 weeks earlier to be able to go out there and play games. And this can extend our fall season probably about a month and a half as well, getting ourselves out there. So as far as playability and stuff, it's going to allow us to play more home games, which will help us out as far as keeping the students in classes, which is one of our number one goals that we always try to do. We try to eliminate as much as possible them getting out of classes.
Are you confident that you guys are going to be competing well in the conference?
Well, that's our goal this year. Yeah. That's what we're looking for. Yeah, we are confident. The coaching staff's been talking about it this year, and barring injury and stuff like that we've like we had last year, and hopefully we have the grades coming out here pretty soon. That we should be very competitive this year. We're looking to make a run at the conference title, and hopefully go deep into the tournament, which we believe we have the talent all the way around with pitching wise, defense, and the offense.
Awesome. So when do you guys actually start getting out? After winter?
Well, we'll come back. We'll condition 2 more days next week, and then which will be in December. Then we'll end up, and then January, right around Martin Luther King weekend, when we'll start coming back indoors and practice. We're going to head down to North Carolina for a 4-game series at the end of February.
Awesome.
Then we come back to Ohio. Hopefully, that'll be the first weekend of March. We're going to try to play a couple doubleheaders down in Southern Ohio. Then we head down to Winter Haven, and we're going down there for 8 days. And that's where we'll get the bulk of our games in, and then from there, we'll get it going up in North again.
All right, Coach. Well, I wish you the best of luck this season. Hope all your hard work pays off. And thank you for joining us today on the show. We will return after a brief break.
Have you ever considered a career in media, broadcast journalism, or television production? Our JMC 2410 TV production class introduces you to the basic concepts of video production. Students will learn how to operate video cameras, learn proper microphone placement, lighting techniques, along with nonlinear editing and sound design. You'll learn how to write for TV, how to direct live-to-tape TV programs, and how to host a TV show. Consider starting your television career right here at Cuyahoga Community College. Tri-C, it's where futures begin.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the sports edition of WestViews. Our next guest is the 1995 Mr. Basketball, Damon Stringer. Thanks for joining us today, Damon.
Oh, my pleasure.
You are also the founder of the Mr. Basketball Academy. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, what it is, it's a basketball training company that I actually started. It started when I was trying to get more time working with my son. And we just used to go to a gym a lot. And, a lot of other parents would ask me to help them out, with their kid in basketball. So it just kind of grew and grew. And, so I started doing that, and I work with kids from 3rd grade all the way up to, professional players who come home from overseas.
Awesome. Good for you. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to Cavs basketball now. We're going to talk a little about the Cavs. The elephant in the room. How do you replace the most valuable player in the NBA? That's what the Cavs are facing right now. They hired Byron Scott, who had a very successful season, in New Orleans, and he brings this high-tempo running style to the Cavs. How do you view the Cavs right now?
First of all, it's tough to replace any player you lose, let alone the most valuable player. So I think what they have to do is, gel together as a team and use each other and rely on each other more now, because they don't have a dominant player.
They don't have that go-to
guy.
Right.
So, and it gives guys a chance to step up now. Guys who didn't play a lot or score a lot, they have their opportunity. So what you have to do is embrace that opportunity, and try to make the best of it. And having a good coach in Byron Scott, I think that's going to help the players a lot, because he's a very successful coach. He's been to the finals with New Jersey, did well with New Orleans. So now I think hopefully he can bring his winning ways to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Now, a lot of people are saying, they believe the Cavs can still make the playoffs as like a number 7 or number 8 seed team. What do you think about that?
The NBA is funny. I think if they stay healthy, they can, because we need all of our pieces, But if we have injuries to maybe a Mo Williams or a Verjao, then it's going to be very tough for us. So if we can stay healthy, I think with Byron Scott leading the charge, we can definitely get a 7th or 8th seed.
If they make that, I mean, you can say that's a very successful season for the Cavs.
Definitely, it'll be very successful making the playoffs.
Yeah.
So,
another issue that they're kind of referring on, they don't have a true center right now. They're always referring to, Anderson Varejao, like, do you think they need to get out there and get some more players, or?
Right now, I think we have to see, where we're at. I don't think we're a championship team, and I don't think one piece is going to put us into a championship team. So I'm more interested in us developing the players we have, and then maybe in free agency or off-season, putting a couple of pieces together to help us get over the hump. But it's no quick fix for the Cavs right now.
Yeah. With LeBron gone, now it's almost like Mo Williams is that guy. You always had LeBron, and whenever there was a problem, you always knew LeBron was going to get the ball. So do you think, this helps Mo, step up his game, or you think he's going to be that new LeBron for our team?
Not the new LeBron, but I think he's definitely the leader of our team now. And I think in pressure situations, he is the guy to, have the ball and take that shot. And I know he's already hit a couple game winners this season. So I think Mo Williams is definitely the leader. And with Byron Scott and his up-tempo style, I think it plays well into Mo Williams' hands.
Moving on to, like, players leaving, you think, Shaq leaving and Z leaving and Wes leaving, do you think they were a big part of the team, or do you think it was just kind of like, yeah, Shaq, you get a few rebounds here and there?
I think they were a huge part of our team, and I think that's why we've taken a big step back. Shaq was just such a dominant presence inside. Even though he wasn't the player he used to be, he's just huge and he takes up space, and he's very experienced. Delonte West was very hard-nosed. He was probably our best defender, so we lost him. And then, Z was just the cornerstone of the Cavs. He was a Cavalier from the moment he came into the NBA. So, you lost a guy who you were always familiar with, and guys who looked to in the locker room. So not only on the court was we affected, also off the court. So it's a lot of rearranging in the organization.
With these new guys coming up, like Hickson and, you see Gibson playing a lot more, it's definitely a drastic change for them because, they didn't play as much as they did. So, like, what do you think about them? What are your views on those guys coming back?
I could imagine last year they were probably wishing they could play more and just saying, well, if I was out there, I would do this and that. Now they have the opportunity. So they kind of thrust into that situation. And like I said, I think you need to embrace that and make the most of your opportunities because they have a great opportunity right now with a lot of playing time, getting able to shoot a lot of shots and score a lot of points. So, I'm hoping that they do well and can, really excel as players now.
Also last year, the Cavs went out and they got Jamison, and everyone was pumped about that. They thought he was the next piece of the puzzle that would help us get there. And now you think, do you think he might have just came to the Cavs just because of LeBron? And, like, do you think we face this decision of him leaving now because, where's this guy now? He came to this team and now he's just rebuilding over again.
Right. We kind of thought he was the missing piece and, found out in playoffs he wasn't the missing piece. So I think we rearranged so many players that, I don't think he's like a big deal breaker for us anymore. So, I hope he stays. I like him as a player. I think he's a good guy. And he still has some good basketball left in him. But like I said, we need more than one player right now to help us get over the hump. So.
All right. So if you're Byron Scott right now and the season was over, and what would you be looking forward to, like, get for the next season? What would you go out and get some veterans, or are you looking for some new guys? What would you think would fit for this team right now?
Well, like you said, I think we need a center, definitely, somebody who can establish a presence for us inside. And then, we just need somebody who can really score the basketball on the wing. I don't think we have a 20, 22, 23-point scorer for us. They kind of have different roles each night. And I think we need a guy who we know we can go to and we know is going to be the guy who gets the ball at the end of the game. So.
With LeBron leaving, do you think it, I don't want to say like had like a drastic, I mean, obviously it had an effect on the team, but do you think like, what do you think the players feel now? Like, do you think they're just like, wow, you know, we really actually like need to play now, or like what are your perspectives on that?
I believe it's pretty mixed throughout the team. I remember Mo was kind of really down, you know, and you know, he was really hurt by LeBron leaving. So I think a number of the players were hurt. You still see some guys wearing LeBron tennis shoes on the Cavs. So I think they looked to him for a lot. He was here for 7 years, so you know, he was a big part of these guys growing up as basketball players. So, you know, now I think they're just trying to find themselves, find out who they are as a team now. And it's taken a little while, but, you know, I think as we go on throughout the season, you know, things are going to be all right for us.
All right, Damon. Well, thank you for joining us today, and thanks for talking to us about your academy. If you're interested in participating in his academy, you can check out the site, themrbasketballacademy.com. Damon also is on a radio show, The Rundown, on AM 1000. You can catch him there on Saturday around, what was the time?
11 to 12:30.
11 to 12:30. All right. Well, when we come back from this break, we'll be talking Browns.
Have you ever considered a career in media, broadcast journalism, or television production? Our JMC 2410 TV production class introduces you to the basic concepts of video production. Students will learn how to operate video cameras, learn proper microphone placement, lighting techniques, along with nonlinear editing and sound design. You'll learn how to write for TV, how to direct live-to-tape TV programs, and how to host a TV show. Consider starting your television career right here at Cuyahoga Community College. Tri-C, it's where futures begin.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the WestViews. Our final guest today is Mark Bodner. Mark, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's just get to the chase. It's Browns time now. So you look at the season, and Jake Delhomme starting.
No.
What do you think? Well, he started, and you had this big quarterback controversy, and starting off with him, you know, we've looked at the game and say preseason, hey, you know, he looks great. We're pumped up, ready to go, and then you watch him in that first game, and it's a little rough, and you're already back to that quarterback controversy that we had last season, you know, with the Derek Anderson, Brady Quinn switching back and forth. So what do you think about Delhomme? You think he should get out? You think?
I think, yeah, I really don't think there is a controversy. I think that McCoy has definitely shown himself to be the starter. I think Delhomme would have done much better if we had legitimate receivers on the outside. He's a gunslinger. He's going to throw picks, but he can throw touchdowns too. The problem is we don't have the receivers to catch the touchdowns, and so I think he's looking much worse than he really is because we don't have the touchdown throws too.
And it's interesting what you said about McCoy. You know, we watched him in the preseason, and everyone's just like, wow, this guy he doesn't look like the McCoy we saw when he was playing for Texas. And then all of a sudden, bam, he's just lit on fire. I mean, a lot of people think he's the one, and I don't know, what do you think about that?
You know, actually, even in the preseason, you know, it did look kind of cruddy in that, but if you remember back to Aaron Rodgers when he came out of college, that first year and those preseasons and all that, and he's riding the bench, and it was like, oh, great, another first-round bust quarterback, and now look at Aaron Rodgers. So it's hard to take, you know, a kid's rookie pre-game season and say, oh, wow, he's a bust. But, you know, obviously McCoy, you know, the Browns, you know, didn't have this great winning record. And it's the first time since McCoy started football that he didn't end with just a stud record.
Yeah, good point. And, you know, back to the part about Delhomme where he doesn't have those key players to throw to. I mean, you look at the Browns and, you know, they don't have a lot of good wide receivers. I mean, they call our first wide receiver Josh Cribbs, and he's not a wide receiver. So, you know, what are you going to do with that? Yeah, you got Stuckey, but, you know, Stuckey reminds me of, like, Dennis Northcutt, you know, just that small guy. You know, like, once in a while he has this miraculous catch. And then you look back, you know, Muhammad Massaquoi, it's his second year, so he's still working on it. I mean, what do you think? Are we in trouble for this wide receiver thing?
I think we absolutely need a legitimate veteran wide receiver. I think the Browns should spend some money bringing in a veteran wide receiver, find someone who knows how to play, who maybe is not happy with their team. I don't know necessarily what's going on in Arizona, but I'm sure Larry Fitzgerald would love to have the ball thrown his way by somebody that could get the ball to him, and Derek Anderson's not that guy. Does he want to wait around for a quarterback to develop out there? Someone like that. I mean, there's other guys out there, but bring in some sort of legitimate deep threat, because I think Massaquoi could be a legitimate number 2 receiver.
Yeah.
I really do. I think right now there's nobody else the defense really is concerned about on the outside. So if you take Massaquoi and allow the field to be stretched, and with with a legitimate number 1 receiver, a guy like Massaquoi is going to be able to monopolize on that, like Hushmanzada or someone. When he was there with a great receiver, wow, he actually did something, and then he went out to try and do it himself, and well, he was not good.
Yeah, and earlier in the NFL season, Randy Moss came available and Terrell Owens, and I know they're a problem to some teams, but do you think the Browns should have picked up on them? No.
No, I think I don't think the Browns should touch anybody like that. I think I think the Browns have been able to establish some sort of foundation, some sort of character. There has been a culture change and a philosophy change in the Browns since Eric Mangini took over, and I think a lot of that has to do with a consistent character. We, if we had the Braylon Edwards and the K2s and these guys here that were causing the trouble and loudmouth, I mean, there's a lot to be said for chemistry and cohesiveness, and there's a lot that goes on in a locker room that we don't see on Sunday on the field, but in a way it does show up.
Good point. So. All right, moving on to the biggest part of the Browns offense right now, running backs. When that Quinn trade happened, everyone was like, who is this Peyton Hillis? We never saw him, never heard of him. Came to the Browns, and it almost seemed like during the preseason, everyone was hyped about Hardesty. They thought he was going to be this big guy, and then in that preseason game, he gets hurt, like any Browns luck we have. So we're led to having Harrison and Hillis, and just watching Hillis grow through the season, I mean, you can tell he is our running back. There's no point about that. So, I mean, what do you think the Browns should go, do you think they should concentrate on him or get some new running backs into the formations like that?
I think they should absolutely concentrate on Hillis. He's a young guy. This is his first, big year. I mean, he was a fullback coming out. And at that in Denver, he wasn't even like a Vickers. He wasn't going out there fullback. So he has fresh legs. He's a young guy. He runs through people. It initiates contact. It's the kind of runner you don't get a lot, and defenses don't want to get a lot. I love it. He's called the albino rhino, and he just plows through people, and it's beautiful to see. He also has the speed to run the outside. He's a young guy with a lot of power, a lot of strength, incredible balance, and I think that's someone you build an offense around legitimately. And I also believe that plays into getting a legitimate number 1 receiver, because once we're able to stretch the field, then we can go ahead and get Peyton Hillis going even more. Yeah,
and I think with Peyton Hillis, he's not just a great runner, he's just a very good receiving player. He has great hands.
He's all around.
Yeah. Now, moving on, if you were Coach Mangini and the staff, what would you be thinking about the draft?
About the draft? But I would say defensive line. I believe we have the oldest starting defensive line, aside from Ruben. Originally, in the beginning of the season with Robert Smith and Sean Rogers, we have, I would say, get a stud D lineman. I would say also keep going after linebackers. Not necessarily in the draft. I think there's a lot of linebackers that can work into this kind of system, but I would say D lineman in the draft, shore up the secondary. We don't have a deep secondary, and you should look at receiver too.
All right, well, we hope the Browns come out to next season a great team, all the injuries come back, and that they have a great run in the draft. Thank you for joining us today, Mark.
Thank you,
You had some great input on the Browns. Well, I'm your host, Meghan Donovan. Thanks for watching the WestViews.